Hello there. Are you a student in high school taking AP World History, AP European History, or AP US History? If so, this video is for you. Are you a teacher of AP World History, AP European History, and AP US History? If so, this video is also for you. Hi there. Now I want to help you by giving you a quick run-through of your course exam description. What is your course exam description, you might ask? It is a document provided by the College Board which gives you an outline of your AP course. All the AP courses have one. If you're not sure where to find your course exam description, not to worry, they are linked in the description below, so check it out and follow along. Today we will look at the AP World, AP Euro, and AP US History CEDs, as they are all very similar and we can draw very similar conclusions. Each one is almost a 300-page PDF with a lot of information. But fear not, I'm going to focus on three important sections that you should be familiar with and try to cut out some of the fluff. First, we'll look at an overview of the course content, an overview of the course thinking and reasoning skills, and finally, the example exams and suggested activities. So let's take a look at these one at a time, and if you're ever lost, the PDF page numbers for each are listed in the description by course exam. Part 1, course content. Almost 1/2 of all of these PDFs are taken up by each of the 9 units of content by section. Each unit begins with a unit at a glance section, which gives a summary of the unit via the theme, topic, and suggested thinking and reasoning skill. Additionally, it provides suggestions for how many classes to spend on each topic. Let's look at a specific topic. Notice here it has a topic number and a title. These are the major ideas or area of study within the unit itself. These can be a helpful organizing tool. For example, students, when you are frantically searching for review material online the night before a test, try using the topic number in your search. For example, the lectures I've posted to my own students, I include the topic number in the description, or this video, made by a man named Steve Heimler, who you have definitely seen even if you don't know his name. See, he has the unit number in his video titles. Below the topic title, we have the topic theme. These are simply the 6 course themes, but it is a hint at how the exam will approach this particular topic. If there is more than one theme, that means there's probably a higher chance of this being featured on the exam. Below that, on the left, we have the learning objectives, essentially what students should be able to do with the information in this unit. Teachers, this could be part of a unit assessment. On the right, we have the historical developments, essentially a summary of the learning objective and how it applies to this particular unit. The thing to really keep in mind about these is that the historical developments may be the model for the LEQ on the exam. At least they were for the 2021 exam. See my video on that exam for more details. On either the left or the right side of the page, you will see suggested thinking skills in the corner, and underneath that you will see additional resources, which the College Board provides. Some of which are cool, interesting discussions and topics for consideration, some of which are fairly generic, and you may already have these resources if you've gone to a professional development series for your AP course. Below that, we have illustrated examples for both world history and European history, and oh boy, these are fun to talk about. Basically, these are the examples of the learning objectives. The historical developments contextualize the learning objectives. For example, here's topic 1.2 on the AP European History course exam description. Unit 1, Learning Objective B, explain how the revival of classical texts contributed to the development of the Renaissance in Italy. And if we look here, we see a list of individuals promoting the revival of Greek and Roman texts, including the author of The Prince, the classic Niccolò Machiavelli. Browsing through the PDF, you may have noticed that for some topics there are a ton of examples, and other topics have few to none. Some topics just have more to pick from, more examples to explore. I want to stress that these are intended as examples, not what you need to know. To quote the College Board themselves, these, quote, do not in any way constitute additional, preferred, or required information, quote. Spending time memorizing all of these would be a terrible use of your time. Please don't do it. It would help if you were super familiar with maybe 1 or 2 per topic, but there are many examples not included on here. For example, topic 4.3 in the AP World course description, the Columbian Exchange. Illustrative examples of the spread of domesticated animals, horses, pigs, and cattle. Well, what about the llama, the sheep, the goat, or the cat? Clearly, there are many different animals you could use to explain the ecological change across the world during that time period. In summary, these unit breakdowns give an overview, a skeleton, if you will, of the course. A good place to start if you're unsure about where to go at any point, but this should merely serve as a building block, not the entire course. I want to really stress to students that if your teacher does not get to everything in this PDF, that's perfectly fine. You do not need to know every single historical development exactly as it is written in order to do well on the exam, or even more importantly, develop as a historical thinker. Part 2, Historical Thinking Skills and Reasoning Skills. So this section is short and it's broken into 2 parts which overlap but are individually important. The historical reasoning skills are the way in which we can organize information about the past. In short, these are how we can think about the past, but these are not specific forms of analysis. The three reasoning skills are causation, aka cause and effect, comparison, that is putting two things side by side, and change and continuity, what changes and what doesn't change over time. I should note that when writing the long essay question, you should use one of these reasoning skills to organize your essay. You can see my video on the long essay question for more information about this. Additionally, short answer questions will often use these reasoning skills to frame their questions, so don't be surprised to see the word change, continuity, comparison, cause, and consequence on a short answer question. Historical thinking skills refers to the ways students work with historical materials, facts, and information learned in class. Unlike the reasoning skills, they are not overarching forms of organization, except for argumentation. There are 6 of them, and each one appears in a very particular part of the AP exam. Developments and processes is, in general, being able to explain a historical event. This mainly comes up in the multiple choice section, although you could say that it technically comes up everywhere because you do need to be able to explain a historical event in the course of writing an essay. Sourcing and situation refers to the ability to analyze primary and secondary source materials. This is the point of view, audience, context, purpose questions that so many students struggle with. This is essentially the meat of the DBQ, but some multiple choice questions will also ask sourcing related questions. Claims and evidence in sources is also primarily found in the multiple choice questions. For example, questions that ask about the argument being made in a document. Contextualization, or can you explain the background of an event or development, comes up pretty much everywhere. It's on the multiple choice questions, the short answer questions, and is required for both essays. So practice away, please. I did make a video on contextualization, and I've linked it in the description if you'd like to know a little bit more. Making connections is asking you to use the historical reasoning skills to make connections between developments and processes. This sounds like an essay, but you're not actually making a claim, and that's why this will mostly be seen in multiple choice questions, asking you to identify a development described in the stimulus and possibly to connect it to another development at another time in history. Argumentation is essentially writing an essay. Each part of the argumentation skill is a point on the LEQ rubric, minus contextualization. So when considering how to practice this, consider starting by writing a thesis statement and then building it into an essay. Basically, the reasoning skills are how to organize and interpret the past, and the thinking skills are specific methods of analysis students need to be able to execute on the AP exam. Part 3, example exam and suggested activities. There is a small exam on the back of the course exam description, specifically about 15 multiple choice questions and a few free response questions. If you need guidance, I'm not going to lie, this is not very helpful. You'd be better off going to the released exam questions section on the College Board website. The feedback is more complete and the samples are broken down more effectively. There is one helpful part though, for both students and teachers. The task verbs used in free response questions page helps explain what certain terms mean. For example, explaining the difference between evaluating and explaining. This might be a great handout to print for students. Throughout this document, there are also suggested activities. So throughout each unit overview, there are a list of sample suggested activities broken down by topic, although not every topic has an activity. Closer to the back of the document, there are instructional strategies, which focus on some general practices, as well as practices that focus on developing the reasoning processes and thinking skills. If you're a teacher, you might find these a bit hit and miss. Some are helpful, but others are pretty basic, and you might have already been thinking about doing some of these in your class. Still, if you're in a tight spot, it can be helpful. And so that's it. That's just a brief overview of the important parts of the course exam description. I hope you found that helpful.